Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Here's a quick question for you. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being highest, how confident are you that Kobe Altman and Dan Gilbert will make the right choice for head coach of the Cavs? Take care now. Bye-bye then.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Kenny, you look at it, man, 1 to 10, maybe a 5 or a 6. I mean, and I'm basing that on the roster construction. There's some issues there, and they haven't addressed them, and I don't know if they're going to address them.
The coaching hire. I did not have a problem with firing J.B. Bickerstaff. I was lukewarm on J.B. Bickerstaff. You got to give the guy credit, right, from taking a team when John Beilein wasn't the answer, right, and getting them to the playoffs in back-to-back years, winning a playoff series. But you look at that and you go, man, the offense, it just doesn't look right when all the pieces are there healthy. They seem to play better when guys were injured, some of the key players. So I didn't have a problem with moving on from JB. Did a great job defensively. Offensively, I had my questions about him. The question, though, is this. Who's the best fit for what this roster is? And we don't know what this roster is yet because we don't know if Donovan Mitchell is going to sign an extension. If he does Darius Garland want out, as there are reports on social media that he would ask to be traded if Donovan Mitchell inks that $210 million extension? If Donovan Mitchell doesn't want to sign that extension, right, then do they elect to trade him? And who do you get back in return for Donovan Mitchell? And that means you keep Garland, Allen, and Mobley as, the big three, if you will. And if I'm a head coaching candidate, I kind of want to know what I'm getting into before I sign a contract. And maybe that's why we haven't seen them sign a coach yet to be the replacement for J.B. Bickerstaff. Now, can't do anything with Donovan until after the NBA Finals comes to a conclusion to find out one way or the other. So the names we've heard, who was it? Kenny Atkinson, James Borrego, Chris Quinn, and I believe it was Johnny Bryant, as I look down at my cheat sheet here, the Knicks assistant, as the four that they've requested permission to talk to and have been granted permission to talk to. So at least they've started the process. We'll see how quickly it ends.
Yeah, and I'm with you with J.B. Bickerstaff. My question is, who are you going to replace him with? These guys, right. None of these guys have had a lot of success. None of them had any success as a head coach in the NBA. Remember, Kenny Atkinson, who everybody's talking about, Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic pretty much, it wasn't Luka Doncic, it was Kyrie Irving and Kevin Garnett ran him out of Brooklyn when he was the head coach. So he's had some issues with star players already. That's, you throw up the red flag.
Well, those two are hard to coach, right? KD.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
They're hard to coach, and it is kind of working out. Dallas is in the finals, but that's a former player in Jason Kidd, a former point guard, right?
Yep.
That's dealing with those two superstar point guards, and it's working. We'll see what they do against the Celtics. But, none of these guys have had great success as a head coach, right? And there's the two that we mentioned out of that four. Then the other guys, Chris Quinn, he's been with Spoelstra for 10 years in the Miami Heat coaching department, right? He also played there, and he played it. I didn't even realize this. He was with the Cavs for a cup of coffee. So this is a guy, if you're looking at pedigree or culture, he knows the Heat culture. So do you want to go young, inexperienced, no head coaching experience whatsoever, and go with a guy like Quinn or Bryant, right? Or do you want to go with somebody who's at least been a head coach and then try and get one of those other guys to be his assistant, so you have your Ty Lue to your David Blatt in case something else doesn't work out? Somebody told me that's something to keep an eye on as well. So for me, I don't have a favorite as of yet. I'm still doing more research on that. But the other thing that you have to keep in mind is which of these guys have ties to Donovan Mitchell should the extension go through. And one of those guys for sure is Johnny Bryant, as he had ties, I believe, with Mitchell in Utah. So again, I'm doing research just like they're doing research, and those are the names that have surfaced. So we'll see if it's one of those four when it all comes to a close, or if there's somebody else out there we're not even talking about yet.
And again, the main thing is, You can't afford to take a step back. The goal has to be get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So you're going to do that with a guy who is first-year head coach. I have my questions about that.
Yeah, I have my questions as well, but I at least give them credit for saying we're not standing pat. Okay, at least with the coach. Now, I didn't agree with Kobe Altman, and I wrote it down here. This is what he said in his press conference. He said, I don't see the need to make sweeping changes. And when asked about the backcourt of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, he said, I don't see why we should break it up. He thinks it's overblown that they don't mesh. Well, I totally disagree with all of that. And you can give me all the analytics and all the stats that you want to back up. We can make numbers say whatever we want, right? What I see with my own eyes is Garland and Mitchell, for whatever reason, it just doesn't work. Now, will a new coach coming in be able to change that? Maybe. Okay. And maybe that's one of the reasons they got rid of JB. They think that's the reason why it hasn't worked as well as it should. But for me, what I see with my own eyes, Jared Allen and Mobley together on the floor with Mitchell and Garland. I know they were 18-10 in 28 games, but they went 18-2 when Garland and Mobley were out, and they went with the four guards, one big, with Jared Allen in there during the season. So something's got to change there, whether it's the coach coming in and being able to make the necessary changes in the offense, or you move some players. And if it were me, if Donovan Mitchell stays, I'm looking at moving Darius Garland.